You are now listening to Halal Talks.
Kind of just going back to something you had previously said where you had started doing the khutbahs and then you started meeting at coffee shops to come up with, we need to have a masjid in Chino or in Chino Hills. So now we're at the point where, alhamdulillah, this masjid is about to kind of be upgraded to a whole new facility and there's gonna be basketball courts and all this stuff. So I think so many people kind of think, oh, this area needs a masjid. So how did you as a team kind of work to be able to kind of come to that where you guys finally were able to even build this facility?
So, first of all, it's the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no doubt that these things, when you intend to do something good, God will help you and give you the support and the blessings. The Prophet ﷺ said, Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah, the hand of Allah or the support of Allah comes to those who work together as a team. So for us specifically, and all the other masajid, by the way, have amazing stories of success and amazing stories. How did they start in a garage and how did they build? And so specifically for us and our community in Civic, we found that many of those people who are involved in the first place they were raised up in Southern California. If they're born in Southern California or raised up in Southern California, so they've been raised up in different other masajid. They've been in neighboring Islamic centers, and they saw how things been built. So they took the good things and they avoided the negative things. And that's one of the main things that helped us to be. The second thing is that we had certain philosophies here that we made sure that youth feel comfortable to come. So if the youth are playing basketball after Salah, no one's telling them you're too loud, you're making noise. They're enjoying it. Sisters feel very welcome to come to the masjid here. That is something that now many of the masajid are paying attention to. 20 years ago, it was not the case. But now the masajid realized that half of our community are women. And if we do not make them feel comfortable coming to the masjid, they don't feel ownership of the masjid, then we are losing big time. And that's another thing. So when we got together, I had a youth group that I used to meet with before we opened the masjid for a couple of years. And it come up to 100 youth and their families. So that come from that side also. They needed a place to start meeting at instead of meeting at homes. So meeting and getting the right professionals, getting the right people to find the right location, professional real estate agents, professional lawyers to tell us what's the right way to sign, what's the right thing to do. Not just people who are doing it out of what they think is right and what they think is not right. And then getting the community together, telling everyone this is your place, this is your mosque, this is your masjid. If you want it, we'll keep it. If you don't want it, we'll close. Because that was one of the questions that we got when we first thought of opening, that some people asked, why would you open another mosque here? We don't need one. And because there are 10-15 minutes drive from Chino Hills area, there are mosques on each side. And the answer was, we'll see. We're not stuck here. If we think there's no benefit, there is no need, we'll close. And amazingly, we found out that no, it's not. Those same people who asked the question, why do you open a mosque? They came to us several years later and say, you know what, you are right. We do need a mosque in this area. And we need, in my opinion, mosques everywhere. And when I say mosque, not just a musalla, not just a place to pray, a place to have a community gathering, a place to have youth play table tennis and basketball. I remember when we first opened, we had pool table in the masjid, and fizzball. Remember that?
I remember that.
And somebody's like, what are you doing? It's like, this is a masjid. It's like, no, it's a community center. You need to attract people. You need to be.
Right.
Because the outside world is very attractive to people to go to. Nightclubs and parties and all this is very attractive to young people to go to. We cannot just make the masjid a boring place and expect everyone to come and leave everything else. We want people to come, have some good time, have some room for interacting with their peers, whether they're elderly or youth, and without people judging people, without telling them you don't belong here. So these are some of the thoughts that came to my mind that when I remember the history of this place.
That's a very beautiful point. Even looking back at the Prophet ﷺ, and the masjid that they had in their community, it was at the center of everything.
Absolutely.
When people wanted to talk to the Prophet ﷺ about any problem or ask him a question, they would go to the masjid and talk to him. And he would have his gatherings there. They would have their prayers there, their talks there. And also they would wrestle in the masjid. So that's it can't only be limited to prayers.
Absolutely. So the name masjid means a place of prostration. Okay. So the main reason for masjid is for prayer. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But it's not the only reason, because in the days of the Prophet, as he said, the masjid was a community center. Social gatherings used to happen there, weddings, funerals, Eid gatherings. It happened in the masjid. It was a political forum discussion center where people sat down and discussed things that relates to their community and their society, whether it's politics or social matters. It used to be a youth center where, as you said, young boys will wrestle in the masjid. It was a court system where people, if they have disputes, they go to the masjid and they have the judge, which was Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, to resolve their disputes. It was an educational center where lectures and seminars are things that the Prophet ﷺ used to actually hold in the masjid. It was a place where the African men used to, on Eid, they danced in the masjid. They actually had their cultural dance with swords, and people, the Prophet ﷺ watched them, and his wife was watching, and the famous hadith that says the Prophet ﷺ was okay with it. There's no problem with that. It's a Eid day. It's a day of celebration. So you are absolutely right. We need to bring that role to the masjid back. We need to bring that role back to the masjid, because we are facing a lot of challenges. We're facing challenges that's going against us, whether it's from for being Muslims or just simply living in this part of the world, or living in these times. People going through some financial problems, some political problems. They are stressed out. They need a place to vent out. They need a place to ease down that stress. But also, as Muslims, we're going through challenges of Islamophobia. The attack on religion by its in general is so huge nowadays.
Yeah.
The calls for atheism, the calls for disbelieving in God or the divine is becoming so powerful now that a lot of people are looking at religion as is not a valid idea. We need to challenge that. We need to face that challenge by teaching people, no, this actually makes more sense to be religious. It makes more sense to believe in God. You need that in your life. We're facing problems or challenges that about aqidah or creed. Some people are believing in weird things and claim it's Islam. They're believing in things that the Prophet ﷺ did not do and did not approve, and they think this is part of Islam. We're having the challenges of wrong and deviated understanding of Islam. You know, I always tell the people, the leadership that I meet with, our youth, as much as they could be dragged into drugs and deviant lifestyle in that way, but they also can be on the other extreme side. And we don't want them to be either way. We want them to be a moderate, modest, middle ground Muslims, just like as Allah says in the Quran, we made you a middle nation. So yes, those challenges are we are facing them. And the best way to defeat those challenges or stand in front of them without them affecting us is to have Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark was in the middle of the flood, and it protected those people from the dangers of the flood, from drowning. We are living in a flood right now. We're living in a flood of irreligiosity, immorality. So we need that ship to save us and save our community and take us to the shores of safety. So absolutely, you are right. That the masjid should play that role, just like the days of the Prophet ﷺ. We might not have a court system in the masjid, but we might not have certain things because it evolved into other stuff. But we definitely need it to be a place where people can come and spend time and have good times and be able to be proud of their identity, to learn the proper way of proper understanding of their religion, and to and to be able to practice their faith without being intimidated or without being judged by others from outside.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed that I really appreciate in our Southern California community, and especially kind of like the Anaheim area, is that there's these little masjids that are kind of peppered into these different strip malls. So there'll be like a restaurant, then like a masjid, and then like a restaurant. And I think it's amazing because then you kind of have those little small areas to kind of go to throughout the community. But one thing that I've kind of seen in other faiths too is that sometimes they start to kind of go towards the mega church route, where they're saying like, okay, you know what, let's kind of take all of our funds and make this huge facility. And I think sometimes you kind of lose out on the ability to kind of distribute the ability to have those masjids throughout, or those different prayer areas throughout the community rather than just one spot too.
Yeah, because there's like a lot of situations where you'll get huge masajid, but then there's a few people showing up for the programs. So all the space is being wasted.
So you cannot, first of all, think of a masjid like a gas station owner. In other words, you don't expect the masjid to be full throughout the week. It's not going to happen. There's no church that's full throughout the week. The huge stadiums that they spend millions of dollars on them, they're not full throughout the week. They're only full when there's a game, and the game maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, right? So the philosophy and the misunderstanding that people think that if I build such a huge masjid, it has to be full every day so I don't waste the time and the space that's been used. No, it's not meant for that. Masjids, if we can fill it on Friday prayer completely, that's good. The problem when you have a big masjid and it's not even full on Friday, I agree with you. That's a major problem. That's a disaster. Why would you spend that much money and not even on Friday there's no one there? So the masjid is not supposed to be thought of as it's a business. It's a place, if I can achieve a goal once a week in Friday prayer with this big size, that's good. Now, we learn from our fellow Christians in America of the two philosophies of big congregations. We have the evangelical church who believes mega churches, right? It's like huge, like 20, 30,000 people attending. It's like a show every Sunday. It's like a big theater, big lights, big sound systems, AV and all that. And those charismatic speakers go up and they speak, and that's one philosophy. And there's another philosophy, the philosophy of the Mormon church. In the Mormon church, they believe that once the congregation reaches 500 people, they need to open another second one. They don't like to have big congregations. And when you ask them why, they say because we don't like to have people fall through the cracks. If you have a big congregation of 500, 600, 700 people, then the pastor or the religious leader is not going to be able to focus on every single youth,
right,
every single person. They won't know them. And we see that sometimes in those big masajid, the imam does not know everybody, right? Does not know. So there are benefits for both models. There are definitely challenges for both models. Having a mega masjid, having a big mega mosque with thousands of people attending, and powerful financial structure and ability to bring the voice of Islam outside, and inviting politicians and people who are trying to run for elections to see that we are strong and powerful and they pay attention to us. Yes, definitely. That's a big benefit for our youth and our individuals. So if we have a mega mosque, it should have more than one imam. Absolutely. I know churches who have 36 pastors.
Wow.
And
36.
36 pastors, that means huge, right? I spoke in a church one day where 6,000 people were listening to me on a Sunday morning. So they have so many pastors who will do things. 10 pastors for the youth, 5 pastors to meet for Bible studies and all that. So if we have mega masjid, it cannot be one imam. There's no way you can run a masjid over 1,000 or 2,000 people with one imam. The imam does not have the time to spend all the time with. So right now we have one of the masajid in Southern California who have like 3 imams. 3 imams and plus a da'wah coordinator for the new Muslims and the converts. That's a good structure. That's a good, amazing formula that we can actually
Yeah.
apply for big masajid. If we cannot hire more than an imam, then I definitely prefer smaller congregations because we want the imam to pay attention, spend time with everyone.
Right.